Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Today is episode 9 of Will I Find UX Content, and we will talk about or continue to talk about mental models today. Just give me a quick second. Let me see if the audio is working fine. Okay. Just gonna check in my live stream and see if the audio is fine or if it is not fine. All right. Okay. Uh, all right. Cool. I think it's fine. Let's jump right in to today's episode. As I was saying, I'll be talking about, or I'll actually be creating content for mental models today. And we already listed. Oh, okay. This is my learnings from these live streams. What I do is I just watch some parts of the video after the live stream is done and see if there is something that I need to improve. But anyway. Now, yeah, this is the table of contents that I want to talk about in my shorter version of the video. Now, let me create a new Figma file, new design file. All right. Maybe I should have copy pasted, but anyway, just trying to find one of the old files so I can copy paste from there and use the same styling. All right, so I think I'll copy all of these. Yeah, my throat is doing something. We have to just quickly go get some water. Just give me a minute. So I'll call this, think C0003, and this is 19 model. I think I'll use this board at least as a thumbnail. And I've been sneezy since yesterday, so bear with me. So if I sneeze on camera on that, I know it's a little disgusting. Alright, let me go get some water first. I'm sorry about this. I'll be back in a jiffy. Okay, and I also realized I'm not sharing my screen and I was doing something on Figma. Alright, so mental models. I think I'll just remove this one and maybe make this bigger, 128. Yes, and increase this. Yeah, I mean, this is just for a thumbnail. Sometimes I think it's the OCD that kicks in. Alright, so I'm gonna say right click, use a set as thumbnail. Alright, so this way it's easier. And for those who don't know about this hack, and to designers who are using Figma in their everyday work, whenever you click on an artboard or right click on your artboard, let me try to zoom this in. Yes. Yeah, when you right click on your artboard, you find this, yeah, set as thumbnail, and I'll see. First, I'll click on this. Now, when I right click on an artboard, it gives me an option to set this as a thumbnail. And what happens here is now this is the thumbnail for the file in this project view or your reasons anywhere that you see this file. And it becomes much easier to see this visually, right? Otherwise, if you look at all of this, you have to read the tiny text that is there and understand. Let's do this for crisp 001. So this is our user's content context file. Now I'll go inside this and I'll right click here and I'll say set as thumbnail. Okay, I'll zoom in so that you can see it more clearly. So you right click on the artboard and say set as thumbnail. Alright. Now when I go to this one, it's generated the thumbnail. Now I can, it's much easier for me to find which file this one is. So this is something that I learned from one of my team members. And it's, I think, and we are using this in our files because we have, I think so far we have about a few dozen files. We are to hit the 100 file mark. But yeah, even though I think we are around maybe 50, 60 files, and it definitely helps immensely to just find the file at a glance rather than having to read the tiny text, like I said. Anyway, coming back to the content for mental models, and I think I'll keep switching between, or maybe I'll just copy this and paste it here so I don't have to keep switching between the FigJam and the Figma file. Okay, what is a mental model? Mental model. Alright, next is why is it important? Alright. Yeah, this I don't know, maybe I will skip. How does it impact adoption and retention? At least for now. How you can bridge the gap between, uh, I'll say, how can you apply this? And this will be in the form of an example. So let me create a duplicate of all of these artboards. So I do have the colors that I have used and start editing this one. All right. What is a mental model? Um, I don't know what is a good graphic for a mental model. And let's see. Let me go back to this one. So mental model is basically, for those who are listening to this podcast for the first time, we are continuing on the topic that I was discussing yesterday. And mental model is basically your user's perception or expectation of how your interface works, right, compared to how you think your user's perception is. Right now, I think that gives some idea. Let me try that with an example. Right, so I say, okay, let's take a topic of find the latest results of Wimbledon. Right, so Wimbledon is a tennis tournament and it's one of the Grand Slams. And I follow tennis on and off. Now I want to find the latest results of Wimbledon. Now, there are multiple ways to do it. Or let me add one more, right? One more scenario. Find when what are okay. Latest ranking of tennis players. Right? It can be any number. I mean, maybe the top 10 is what we will find. And let's say I'll add one more thing. Find latest results of FIDE candidates tournament. Right. So now, FIDE candidates is a chess tournament. The winner of this tournament will challenge Magnus Carlsen for World Chess Championship. Right. Just to give you guys that context. Uh, yeah, I think this is something that I learned in my new office, just to give the context. Anyway, so now coming to okay, this is my resume. All right. Now I am going to go to okay. Let's try this in Bing.com. Right. I originally was thinking about finding this information in Bing.com. Find the latest results of Wimbledon. Well, I'm just gonna say Wimbledon. Okay, right off the bat, they are showing me what are the matches scheduled for today. And if I want to see the previous matches results, which is our objective, right? And probably go and click on any of these items. Right, so this is one way of me trying to find this. Now, let's see, FIDE, I'm going to jump straight to the third one. FIDE candidates results. Now, compared to Wimbledon, let's say FIDE candidates schedule. Yeah, so if I typed, I'm going to open a new tab and I'm going to type Wimbledon schedule. We already saw that I didn't even have to type schedule. It directly showed me the schedule of all the matches, right? And I can see what is today, yesterday, what happened yesterday, and what are the matches scheduled for tomorrow. Right, but in contrast, when I type FIDE candidates schedule, because it is not as popular as Wimbledon, and also I don't think there is enough or good structured data. Let's see, let me go to this first link for a search engine like Bing or even Google to scrape and confidently show that table. Right, if you look at this, it just says round 10, 11, 12, and it doesn't actually give you the pairing. When in fact, there is actually pairings like this, right? And I think round 9 is over. There is around 10 schedule, which is, yeah, today, right? And there is already pairings. If I'm not wrong, there is already pairings decided. But yeah, in chess.com, it's not there. I'm not able to find it. And let's see if I go to, okay, FIDE's website, if they have something. Okay, tournament table. Okay, this is tournament table. I don't know what are the pairings though for round 10 and I'm not able to find it. So yeah, now even if I go to Google, right? So now I wanted to find uh, the candidate schedule and I'm not able to find it. And that could be because of any number of reasons, right? And even let's say, for example, that they decided just before maybe 1 hour before the match starts, or maybe 30 minutes before the match starts, or only when, maybe a few minutes before all the matches start. So in that case, I think there should be at least some information that says, the pairings will be put up or decided at this time, right? 5 a.m. EST, 6 a.m. EST, 6 p.m. EST, whatever is the time, whatever is the time zone for that, right? So this is the gap in the mental model, or this is the gap between what the product owners, right? And when I say product owners, it includes everyone from a product manager, engineering, and the designers. Their understanding of what users' um mental model is and the actual mental model. Right now, if I have to put a graphical representation of this, users' mental model and product owner's perception or understanding of users' mental model. Right. So now, if I put a circle, right, and let's say I put a smaller circle inside this and change it to a different color. Now the orange circle that you see is, sorry, the purple circle that you see is user's mental model. And let me send these things to the back. I'm going to probably copy this. Right, so there is so much that is missing in the understanding of the product teams, right, understanding of the mental model. Right, because I was trying to find a particular piece of information, but I am very unsuccessful, and that could be, like I said, because of various different reasons. And if the expectation is that if I am closely following chess, that I should know um, that this is when the schedule will be put up, and it will not be available before that, then that's a very bad assumption, right? Basically, the product team, if that is the assumption, right? And just giving examples, I think in the last few years, especially during the pandemic, just has come a long way, and all of these products has flourished, have flourished. I was thinking there's something wrong with that sentence. Anyway, all of these chess products have flourished, and they've definitely made leaps and bounds of improvement in their user experience. But of course, like somebody said, no product is ever finished. Right, but yeah, coming back to this, if the assumption was that the user will know that this is how scheduling works, and we don't have to, explain or put any information about when the schedule will be available, right? And that creates a gap because for someone who is completely new or even just following the tournament on and off, like me, right? If I am trying to become um, a more active follower, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. A more active follower of chess events. Um, it just helps convert me that much more faster because otherwise I have to now find it from different sources, right? Or maybe I'll not be able to find. Maybe I'll be able to find it in Wikipedia or Google search or any other search, but it takes more effort for me to get to my information, right? And that's because currently, it's not easily available, right, to me. So yeah, this is an example of how or what is a mental model and how there is a gap between the understanding of product teams of product teams of A not of A product teams and the actual users mental model itself. So I think this is maybe a good diagram of or good representation of yeah. I think maybe a slightly better representation is this. Yeah. So that now when okay, I think I'll take this to Figma. I'm sorry guys, I'm having a nose block and I might sound a little weird because of that. Okay, so okay, this is shape with text. Okay, something weird is happening because I copy pasted it from Figma. Let me create this inside of Figma. Okay, I think I'll use this and maybe this. Yes. Yeah, no, they're all jarring colors. I don't know how they look on the live stream. Okay. Hmm. Okay. They're not as jarring as what I am looking at. Alright, so now I'll copy this text and probably put it inside of this circle and then this mental model is a separate text anyway. I, I'm not sure if I should use white or some other color. Let me try white. And the font that we are using is Montserrat. Yes, and I'll make this. Yeah, today will be mostly creating content, and if you watch yesterday's episode, I don't think there'll be much new that you will find in today's episode. Um, yeah, all right. So I think I'll increase the font size further. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that because we used a Venn diagram in the first episode, I feel like I will end up using a lot of these Venn diagrams in all the episodes. I'm just going to put this outside. I just realized it is easier or, yeah, simpler to represent this in a single diagram. Initially, I was thinking I'll use two diagrams, so one like this and one like this to show, how much there is the overlap in the understanding. I think I'll just use this. And I'll use probably a right alignment and increase the font size. Not bad. Make it 48 and bring this closer. Say 36. Yes. Same. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and use the intersection and change that color. I think I'll use this. Yes. Okay. And I need to use a line to show what this is. I don't know if I should use something like this and increase Yes. Yeah, I think this is good. I'm just thinking if I should use this. Yes. No. Okay. Cool. I think if I should make the edges rounded corner, if I zoom in, it's show you what I mean. It's a flat end. So I was thinking we should make this, but I thought okay, we are going for a very bold, this sharp combination of sharp corners and curves. Yeah. Okay. So this is great. Now, teams understanding. Okay. Sorry if that got caught in the mic. All right. I think I'll just yeah. Yeah, I ultimately want this to come from a design system, but for now, I think I'll just change this to 3. And I think this is a good representation of the gap and the overlap in the understanding of user's mental model. All right. Why is it important? Yeah, and the 2 points that I want to use are helps. Okay, the closer your understanding. This is what I want to ultimately say. I might rephrase this, right? The closer your understanding of your user's mental model, the better the solutions can be. And it is getting typed beyond this artboard, that's why it is not visible. Alright, so I want to see this one representation in the book Design of Everyday Things. I remember it being a good representation, but yeah, let's see. I may be wrong because I have a very bad memory. Alright, so now I'll go to mental model. Yes. Okay, so this is the section he is Don Norman. He is talking about mental models. And just trying to find some inspiration, some spark that can help me come up with that PPT. Like the system image, what are they talking about? Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, property. Track you can. So yeah, this is important, right? How do we form an appropriate conceptual model for the devices we interact with? Or if I have to put it in a more generic sentence, for the products we interact with, right? We cannot talk to the designer, and this is the biggest problem or obstacle for any product. And if there is a way that a designer or anyone in the product team can interact on a one-on-one basis to millions of users, uh, then this problem is completely solved. Anytime I'm stuck somewhere, I just talk to that person one-on-one and tell them this is how you can find what you are trying to find. Or rather, even if I can do that, I can probably be a personal butler for the users. Right. Anytime, this a general rule of thumb, this is something that I have observed in design meetings or any product meetings or feature meetings. The moment somebody starts to explain how a design works is when you know that the design is not or is probably not intuitive. I'm saying probably because there is also a certain amount of complexity that you cannot remove, which we'll talk about probably in a different video. I think it's called Tesla's Law. Let me quickly find the name so you guys can, for those who are curious, you can go find it today and impatient. Yeah, the law of conservation of complexity. Right. So based on the domain and the product, there is a certain amount of complexity that you cannot take away, but still you can make it as easy to learn as possible without the intervention or explanation from someone. Right, meaning the help. When you think that that the product is complex, you just make or put in more effort and invest more in creating artifacts that people can use right inside of the product itself and make it much more easier to find rather than, let's say, if I have to take examples, let's say something like Swiggy or Zomato. I don't think that should ever need any manual, meaning user manual. But something like, let's say, Zero Dash Kite, which is a stock trading application, I think that will definitely need some more easily accessible, much more abundantly available training or learning material, right? So that the complexity, because the domain itself is complex, and that needs to be addressed inside of the product and around the product, anything that you build around the product. So yeah, coming back to mental models, the biggest problem is, as I mentioned earlier, that the product team cannot talk to their users on a one-on-one basis when they are stuck. And another rule of thumb, like I said, whenever someone is explaining how something works, that's a good indication that design is probably not, probably needs improvement, and that there is probably a gap in the understanding of users' mental model. Right. So, all right. So I think that's a good thing, the system image. But let's see if okay. So what he is calling a system image is everything that is available, meaning okay, what the device looks like, what we know from using similar things in the past, what was told to us in the sales literature, and advertisements and articles, okay, and user manuals and so on. All of these things combined is called, he's calling that as the system image. And I'm talking about Don Norman, who's the author of this book. And again, for those who are completely new to this book is called The Design of Everyday Things. And this is one of the must reads if you are involved in a product at any capacity, right? Because this talks about the most fundamental things about design. And there is definitely a lot to learn if you are completely new in the product space, or even if you are someone who are seasoned in a different domain other than design, or in a different skill other than design, and if you want to educate yourself in design, this is a great book to start. And even for experienced designers, I keep going back to this book. In fact, I have read this book, I think about 4 or 5 times, cover to cover. Um, yeah, and I still go back and keep referring to this. So this is an amazing book in essence. Right. So anyway, yeah, he further goes on to explain when the system image is incoherent or inappropriate, then there is your gap in the system image and the user's mental model, which is the system image is basically everything the product team is putting out. And I'm just thinking if I should talk about the system image in the video, but I'm not sure. But yeah, coming back to why is it important? All right, so maybe it is a good idea to talk about system image in the second or maybe in the first one. System. I'm feeling extremely hungry. I'm struggling to speak. Okay, cool. I think I'll put system image or I'll say R. Okay, so I feel like I should highlight this, but I don't know in what color or it will be misleading. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna italicize this. Is there a black italics? Yes, there is, but it's not very evident. I think I'll just underline this. I think that'll be, yeah, no problem. Cool. Here is my model. Uh, okay. All right. This is great. Hmm. Yeah, then maybe that's right. Because a system image does not necessarily. I mean, it's a representation of the product teams. I'm gonna say product teams because product owner might sound like I'm including only product managers. Right. So system image or product team. So system image is basically the representation or the tangible output of the team's understanding. Right. So yeah, I think it's okay to call this a system image. I was not sure whether it should call this just the understanding or a system image. Yeah, let's not dwell too much into that. Cool. Mm, so here, what I am going to do is I'm going to take these two circles and I am going to say, and I'm going to put a line between these two. Alright, then this is great. I don't know how to increase or if there is a way to increase the arrow's size. Is there a way? Hmm, I don't know. Okay, for now I'll just increase the size or thickness of this thing. Yeah, it is interesting, right? I mean, I want to increase the size of this arrowhead, but I can do it only in relationship with the um, our strokes thickness. Alright, so let me see if there is okay, there is no other option. Alright, so I think I'll put this to 6 and maybe use a different color. I think I'll use the same blue. Okay, cool. I'm gonna save. Let me copy this text from here. Yeah, another thing that one of the learnings that I had from watching these live streams after I'm done doing the live streams is smile more in the videos. So it is more pleasant for the audience. I generally tend to go back to having a very serious, frowny face. Thing is something that I have to be more conscious about and more actively correct. So it becomes second nature. But yeah, coming back to this, the farther the and this farther the gap. Okay, I'm gonna say the farther. Okay, I think it's okay to say farther. I'll do a language check with one of my friends, maybe. The farther the gap, the worse the experience. Okay, yeah, I think this is good. Now, what I want to do is I'm gonna say this and this. Yeah, I think I'll use this, duplicate this slide. Just trying to find what is the gap between these two so I can use the same gap. Okay, for some reason it's not snapping to that. So I'm gonna delete this and paste it. Yeah, yes. The closer and the more overlap, the better the user experience. Cool. All right. So this is great. Mm. Yeah, I'm loving this. I'm liking how it starts and uh, how visually we are representing it and also in a very bold manner. Maybe when I look at it tomorrow, I'll have a completely different opinion. This is something that I also do whenever I want to assess or judge my own designs or even someone else's design, right? Because if you are working on something for so long, for yeah, I'm gonna say for so long because even 40-45 minutes is a good amount of time for you to get lost in the process and everything will start to look prettier than they are, or everything will start to look better than they are supposed to be. And then I look at it after 7-8 hours or the next day. Then I start to see all the what do you call imperfections, all the bad things about it. But yeah, for now at least it looks nice. Maybe it'll change tomorrow. Um, so how can you apply this? Yes, I think yeah, this like this in your product. Okay. So what I want to do here is take the same thing. Actually, I should have just selected with one swift swoop. Let's see if I can add inverted arrow. Okay, I cannot. Hmm, interesting. Okay, I think I'll use this for now. No, it doesn't look right. It has to be. Yes. Okay, things that can bring this. Tools and I don't know if I want to call them tools or things. Okay. Okay. Bring you closer to users mental model. Okay. I'm gonna put user testing, user observation. I want to put user interviews at the end because they usually tend to mislead a lot if you don't know how to conduct user interviews, but observations and testing sessions can be more effective. Again, the same thing applies to them also, right? If you don't have a good understanding of what can go wrong in a testing session or an observation session, you might be misled, and your solutions might still be misled or misinformed, right? Um, so yeah, anyway, something about those things: user testing, user observation, A/B testing. A/B testing is different from user testing. Um, okay, it's slightly different. That's what I meant to say. Um, all right, user testing, user observation, A/B testing. What else? What else can you do? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head if I am missing something. Maybe we'll continue with this in tomorrow's, or continue to make this in tomorrow's live stream. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna use this. Yeah, I'll just say what is there. User testing, user observation, A/B testing. Let me read it out loud and see if something comes to my mind. Um, alright, or let's do a Google search so that I'm not missing anything obvious. Design process. Activities. Okay, this is horrible. Generation. Okay. I'm gonna say design activities. Yes, I think I found one more item. Card sorting with users. Labels define. Yeah, this is, I don't know. We may be slightly going off topic, but I'll still add this and then maybe remove it later if I feel this is not very relevant. Long, dependent, long. I mean, this is essentially um, this one. It got sorted. Okay. Mm, yeah. Data-driven design decisions. Problem definition. Yes, I think this is a good list. What I want to do now is I think we have spent a good amount of time on this one. I'll say maybe I'll resume this on Fridays live stream, and let's see if last Friday I did 2 episodes of this live stream. Maybe I'll do 2 episodes this Friday also. And yeah, we'll probably resume making this PPT there. Figma, like PPT has become so prevalent. Just start calling everything a PPT. All right, now what I want to do is go to my precious books and see if I want to find that there is something that I can use. Okay, great. Okay, filter. I actually have a UX collection where I have only my UX books. Because there are some things that are not there in that collection. I'm yet to fully move all of them inside of that. I want to complete at some point. I started it, and this is a humongous book. Um, yeah, let me see if I am able to. Okay, let's see if I can. Yeah, it's a freaking 650 pages. I think it was even more. I remember finding this somewhere in a library, and it actually looked like a 1,000-page book. And yeah, I mean that put me off, and I never got to go. I think finishing more than 20, 30 pages of that book. Um, all right. Yeah, I mean there are so many coding books. It only means that I have attempted so many times to learn coding or to master coding because I think I still have a good understanding and I can even write some code right, that can fairly work and or fool anyone who is using that to think that it is made by someone who's good at coding. Yeah, maybe this is something that we can something from this. It's been a long time. I don't remember many things that I have read from this. But this is a very nice book again, and there is a second part two, I think, of this book that you can call. So the title of this book is, let me zoom in so you guys can also read 100 Things Every Designer Needs to Know About People. I'd rather put it as 100 Things Everyone Needs to Know About People, or everyone in product needs to know about people again. It definitely gives you an edge when everyone in the product team understands how user experience works and how it adds value and why it adds value. And that's why I keep saying that it is important that everyone in the product team, or all of you should read it, everyone in the product team should read it, and you must read it, and so on, even if you are not a designer. So yeah, anyway, now I think we will go over this for maybe 5-10 minutes today, and in the episode tomorrow, let's say what you see isn't what your brain gets. Let's see what's and all of these 100 things are based on research, right, and based on testing on users. So if I dedication acknowledgements, okay, I thought there might be um, a synopsis of this book. Okay, so I remember reading a synopsis of this book that basically said all of these 100 things are based on uh, one research and findings from that research. Basically, people showed uh, different designs, right, and tested which designs perform go well and which designs perform bad. And that's just a gist, right, of how to read or how to understand this book and why this book is good. Now, in the first one, I think there are how many chapters? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to sneeze on video. Okay, how first one is how people see, how people read, that is number two, how people remember, number three, how people think, number four, how people focus their attention, number five. I feel like I'm losing the track of counting or struggling to count. But anyway, that is five. What motivates people? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. Okay, cool. Okay, I think it is roughly 10 per topic. Not exactly 10. So let's see what she says. I think the author is a lady. Let's confirm that also. Gonna see cover. There's no cover. Wow. Okay, they're calling it as title page. Yes, it's a lady. All right. Um, okay. Yeah, don't ask me. I was a little conscious because this is also we are still in Pride Month and inclusiveness and diversity and so on. If you are asking me how do I know that she prefers using the pronouns she, her, um, because I remember watching a video of her and she identifies herself as she and her, right, and that's the reason I know how it is. I think these things are important to be addressed in and normalized in our day-to-day lives. It is going to take a lot of time, and it is definitely going to be for for the better uh, or betterment of us as humans and how we evolve. I guess that's the reason I brought it up. But anyway, coming back to this, right? What you see isn't what your brain gets. Okay, you think I'm just gonna read, and in silence, I'll also let you guys take some time and read this, and I'll try to give a summary for people who are not actually or who does not want to read it. All right, so let's read this. Okay, I'm sorry to skim through that. Now I remember what this is, and also this is a common thing that is talked about in design in general. Okay, okay. So let me see if I can find a more exaggerated version. See of what she is trying to explain. I don't know, I might get some weird imagery with this search. So yeah, basically what I was looking for, right? Let's say city. Okay, right. So if I take this image and let's say I copy this and go to Figma, I'm just gonna repurpose this and delete this later. Alright. So now when you look at this image, right, what really your brain, at least at the first glance, what it is trying to address is these basic shapes. Right, so I see this, I see another triangle, sorry, rectangle here. Maybe this is slightly a complex shape, right? And yeah, basically your brain tries to, she basically says the brain takes shortcuts and tries to process everything all at once. And when you want to focus, and this is my assumption, and I will try and validate this, or I'll try and validate this before tomorrow's episode. Now, when you try and focus or want to focus intentionally, right? For example, let's say I'm trying to, I'm an American spy and I'm trying to assassinate an enemy of the state, and he is inside a car. Right? That's when um, on the street, and that's when I start to focus on the street. and on that particular car and focus on that detail. Right, and I think that's a good example of, or a very good example of tunnel vision also. And you start again, still see that car as maybe a blob, or maybe if you have developed an OCD to unclean things, maybe you will see your brain is trained to see some of those dirty spots on the car, and then it freaks out. Right, but yeah, I tend to diagnose. Basically, what happens is all of these information is processed very quickly, and you basically see shapes, right? And you don't really see what you think you are seeing, right? Um, and also, this is another thing we see in 2D and not 3D. And again, if I go to these examples, even though there is no square or a box in this diagram, you are still seeing a box because of these pies that are arranged in a certain fashion. Right, and similarly, if I go to one of the previous diagrams, even though these are just lines, right, your brain tries to complete this shape, bridge these gaps, and tries to see it as a triangle, and even the white negative space or white space, whatever you want to call it, that also forms a triangle when there is no triangle there. In fact, in this now, how this helps in design. I mean, why is this important? Because that is one thing that I want to talk about on any topic, right? That we talk about in these live streams or even any of my videos, so that you can apply those in your products, right? And one good application for this, right, are icons. Let's see, icons. I'm gonna say now, if you look at, if we take that principle that we just talked about, or take that view of the world that we just talked about, this is as soon as I see this icon, I am able to recognize that it is a camera, right? And as soon as I see this one, I'm able to recognize that it is a mobile phone, even though it does not have the same complexity as something like this. This has obviously so much more shapes. I hope you guys are able to see what I am showing on the video. Yeah, so this is an iPhone, right? And obviously this has so much going on. The buttons on the left, the cameras in here. I know the cameras are not very visible, and so on. But yeah, the point is I'm still able to recognize because that's how my brain already processes information. Right? And yeah, let's see. This is a calendar again. Even if I don't have these tiny boxes inside, I'll immediately recognize this as a calendar icon. Right? And even though this is missing, probably the dial pad and the card or the antenna that usually comes on these phones, I can still recognize that this is a telephone, right? This is one application of how that principle is applied in design, and how you can apply the principle in design. I'll try and find more examples, or I'll try and find it during our episode tomorrow, and we will read more of these how people see items, maybe two or three more of them in tomorrow's episode. All right. Hopefully, my wife has not woken up and waiting for me to make coffee, or has not already made coffee. That is something that I do every day when as soon as I wake up. Usually, right, I make coffee for the both of us. We have a mocha pot that we bought. I think it's a mocha pot, or maybe I'm wrong. It's one of those coffee making vessels. And yeah, I make coffee in that. Let's see. I tend to digress Cool. So I think we are good, and we'll conclude today's episode. And I think I'll have, based on what I just observed in this live stream, maybe I'll have a few more notes for me to improve. And for those who are listening to this for the first time, the expectation for these live streams is for me to find content, and while I find that content, I also try to explain them in more detail and ultimately create a much condensed content for me to use in my videos. Right, and with that, I will see you guys tomorrow.